Hey guys, welcome back to Building Your Own Cyber Lab at Home with Kyle Slosik. So we're now in section 2. We're going to talk about actually planning the lab out before we build it. And in this lecture, I want to talk about the differences between a physical and a virtual lab, and kind of the pros and cons of each one. That will help you to decide how you want to build your lab. So first, let's start with physical. Physical pros. Number one, and it may seem pretty obvious, but physical hardware, right? You have physical workstations, laptops, servers, and that's the good thing about that is they work. It's the way we've done it for ever and ever. Is had multiple workstations or multiple servers, so it just works. The other pro of a physical setup is that you can test specialty hardware. If you have a firewall appliance or you have an IDS appliance, you can use those in your physical lab setup and test that and play around with it and learn those systems, which you can't really do in a virtual lab environment. Now, cons of this construct are that it's expensive. You have to buy a lot of physical hardware if you want to have a true enterprise network, a mock-up of an enterprise network. You have to have multiple workstations, multiple monitors, multiple keyboards, multiple mice, right? The other con is it kind of takes up a lot of room. If you have a small house or you have a small apartment, having 5 or 6 workstations may not be easy to do. You may not have the space for it. But if you're in a bigger house and you have a lot of room, say you have a basement, you want to set it up in your basement, that could work as well. Let's talk virtual now. All right, so pros in virtual. Virtual is great, and I'm a big proponent of it because it's easy to set up, right? You just install some software, you can bring up new machines real easily, they're easy to network, it's usually pretty intuitive. And then there's no need for that physical hardware. So if all you have is one workstation or one laptop, you can run an entire lab just from that one machine. There's no need to buy any extra hardware. Now the cons, well, the virtualization software, some of it can be pretty expensive. VMware and Parallels and whatnot, they can get up there in price. There are free options, and we'll go over that probably in the next section on actually building your lab. But the next con, you need one good physical machine. You can't just go out to the local computer store and buy a secondhand machine and say that's going to be my lab. You need to have something that's got a good processor, something that's got a lot of memory, a lot of hard drive space. We're going to talk about that in future lectures in this section on what are your equipment needs and where do you need to go with that. And then the last con, which could or could not be a deal breaker for some people, is that you can't test specialty hardware. There's really, well, it's easy, it can be done, but it's much more difficult to tie in, say, an IDS appliance or a firewall appliance to a virtual lab setup. So you gotta weigh that. What do you want to get out of the lab? What do you want to do with it? So that's all I've got for this lecture. And in the future lectures here, we're going to go deep dive into physical and virtual. What do you need for your labs? And then we'll talk about how do you want to set it up? What are your goals for the lab? So we'll see you guys in the next section.